combination of gearheads, John the Instigator, Derek the Conservative, Will the Builder, Sean the Racer, and maybe a guest invite you to listen while we sit down, have a drink, and discuss cars. Learn more and subscribe to the podcast with no driving gloves. Time now for the ride. How's the new year going for everybody? Are we looking forward to it? Or are we already regretting it? Or
I think it's going good. I've been just working my butt off as usual. So, but nothing bad yet.
I said I'll just give it time for the bad stuff.
Don't say that. Don't say that. You're supposed to be happy, and you're the happy guy. Are things going well? Are things?
Oh yeah, I mean we're slammed at the shop. Got a full staff. Got another guy coming in at the end of the month. An experienced guy, so that's always beneficial. Have took a little bit of a break on the TV show side of things, and be kicking that back off very soon and finishing up season 2.
are you airing episodes yet? We never got an update when the show premiered, or has it premiered?
No, it has not premiered. Been a couple little hiccups at the editing place, but getting all that straightened out, and I wouldn't say it's anything wild or crazy, but just a few little things just kind of add up to a bigger thing, and but they're getting it straightened out. And then the holidays rolled around, and I mean, you know how that stuff goes. So
Yes.
I don't understand how the Christmas and that, the end of the year, it's just another day off. I mean, just because we change the big date on the calendar, I've never understood the everybody take the last 2 weeks of the year off and let's relax. I'd much rather do it in spring or fall, but
It's because some of us
I'm
don't
the
take
same way.
time off, John,
Huh?
until the holiday. It's because some of us work really hard all through the year, and at the end of the year, when everybody else is off, is the slow time, so we can actually take time off.
see, I had just told Will that yesterday was the first day that I had 0 contract jobs to do for anybody since November 6th. That was the last day that I took off. And that includes, I worked Thanksgiving, I worked on Christmas, and normally I do not work on my birthday. I will do exactly whatever I want on my birthday, and nobody's ever made me go into an office. But I decided I needed a little bit of time on the 31st in the afternoon, so I actually went and did even a couple hours on my birthday. So it's the first time I ever did a contract job on my birthday. And
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I even texted you on your birthday to say happy birthday, and you did not respond. So clearly, you don't do anything on your birthday.
I don't think you did. Maybe you did.
All of us did.
I'm looking.
He's still got records. He keeps permanent records. Anything cool going on in the shop or the music?
Yeah, well, I'm going to say yes. Yes, he did. Let's see here. I've got my ex-wife, Derek, and Sean's wife. So
I am a class of my
I think
own.
that was me on her phone. Oh Lord.
So, did we all get what we wanted for Christmas? All our listeners sent the things to us, and
I did.
Yeah, I got a red eye. Listener sent me a red eye. It was really cool, and I really appreciate it. It's the charger that I really wanted.
Oh, I thought you meant somebody punched you in the face.
It's probably more likely. It's definitely probably more likely.
Oh, I thought you meant somebody sent you an airline ticket for a red-eye flight.
Yeah, I got a red eye. I went out to Vegas. What's happening cool vehicular, man? Is there anything amazing going on in at Big Oak or at the Corvette Museum to talk about?
we're getting ready to paint that Impala, so
Ooh.
that's pretty big. Cadillac's pretty much ready for the interior shop, so we'll have a couple of big builds coming out.
What about the
early this year if there's a place to let them come out at?
If there's a place to go. What about the Datsun?
For the Impala is to go.
You gonna have 20-inch blades on that bad boy?
It does have 20-inch blades. Yes, it
Nice.
does.
Spinners.
20 by 12s in the back, 20 by 8.5s in the front. Sitting really, really low to the ground. You cannot see the top of the tire. You can't, in the back, you can't even see the half of the tire. So anyway, sits really low to the ground.
And that's a pro touring car, isn't it? Like pro touring ish or
No,
it's not? Okay.
no,
I thought
no.
it was machine-ish.
Far from pro touring. It's kind of got a 60s kind of
cool.
custom with a little bit of Euro flair kind of thing going on with it. It's kind of weird.
Interesting.
It don't really fall into any category of nothing. It's not a custom. It's not a traditional hot rod. It's not a pro touring car.
It's just a cool car.
It's just a bunch of crap that me and Dan Duffy
That
like.
looks good. Yeah, I mean, that's cool though. I mean, it's
the color combo's a little different. I told the interior guy what color I wanted to do the interior, and he goes, "Oh, that's ballsy." And I'm like, "No, yeah."
Is my name Will Posey?
So I was like, "Let's make it happen." He goes, "Oh, we can make it happen." I was like, "All right, cool."
You should have had an embroidered ballsy on the headrest.
Yeah. So
That should be the car's name.
Ballsy.
Actually,
Ballsy.
Will's doing the
Ballsy.
retro thing, and he's got a set of truck nuts hanging from the
That's
back
perfect.
I do.
Sweet.
I do train horns.
Yeah.
The car's name is actually Bursted.
Close enough.
Bursted ballsy.
It's
They
a
kind of go
bubble top.
together.
It's a bubble top we chop the top on. So,
Okay.
we burst the bubble.
I'm going to ask you, and I'm sure if anybody if anybody is chopped the top, they understand the difficulty of this. You chop the top of a bubble top. What the hell did you do with for glass? Did you lean things, or like you did a little bit on the Dart, or did you have all new windshields, all new rear glass, all new whatever made for it? Or
Not only did we chop the top, we made a new roof skin and made the front windshield. So we only chopped it about 3/4 of an inch, but the front windshield and the back glass is about 4.5 inches shorter than a stock 61 Impala hardtop windshield and back glass. I can't stand the way the windshield sticks up above the side glass on those cars. So we made a new roof skin and rolled it down to where the top of the windshield and the top of the back glass is on the same plane as the side glass. So, with that being said, we had one-off custom glass made from AM Hot Rod glass.
Holy crap. That sounds like there was a lot of maths involved.
It's,
I'm sure there was a comma or two that
way more complex curves than my brain wants to get involved with.
Yeah. And to add level of difficulty on that, we kept windshield trim and back glass trim. But the trim does not sit on the body and sit on the glass. The trim is flush to the body and the glass is flush to the trim.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and I'm sitting here thinking I'm on this Bradley GT Facebook group, and everybody whines that you can't get a windshield for a Bradley GT2. Obviously, you can.
Yeah.
It might cost you 8 times the value of the car. I mean,
you just don't want to pay the money for a windshield for. Yeah, absolutely.
But
good Lord, man, is it something that is going to be immediately noticeable when you walk up on the car, or are you going to have to? Is it something that you're going to look at like after the thing's all done and it's out in the wild? Are people going to look at it and go, "Why is that different?" Like, or is it?
It's one of those. It's kind of sneaky.
Gotcha.
If you really, really know the cars, you're going to know something's different immediately.
You'll feel it, even though you won't be able to go, "It's this." You'll just feel like, that's something weird.
So the whole body's been reverse wedge cut on that car too. I mean, there's a lot going on with the body that's been changed. But we left the vent windows. We left stock door handles. So, it's kind of, a lot of people are like, well, that's dumb. You do all this custom work and you put vent windows back in it and stock door handles back on it. It's to trick you to think nothing's been done to it, you know?
It's something I remember back with your Dart, is all the little subtle, and when you walked me around and we went, you went over probably 20, 25 modifications you did to it. And it's, you said 3/4 of an inch chop on this Impala, and you did whatever, a 2-inch or a 3-inch down to a 2-inch, angled chop or whatever, and slightly move the wheel wells and stuff in that car. That's one thing I like about what you build, is all the subtle things, because every time you look at the car you can find something new. But if you don't know the cars, you don't realize anything's been done to it. But if you know the cars, like you said, you can sit there and you can spend hours figuring out, did he do this? Did he do that? What's the subtlety? It's
this car even has a stock grill in it. It's pretty sneaky.
Wow.
But the hood has been brought all the way back to the windshield. We pocketed the cowl and extended the hood back to the windshield. That's also pretty well flush with the trim when the hood shuts. Of the windshield trim.
Because I've never heard the term reverse wedge cut before. I'm a racer, man. There's no one that I've ever walked up to in a sports car paddock and had them say, we reverse wedge cut our 430 GT car. It doesn't happen.
You should. It'd be more aerodynamic.
I probably would. What the hell is it? I'm
all right. So obviously a wedge cut is you take a pie section out of a car. All right. So you take more out of the front than you do out of the back. Okay. And, like through the middle of it. Right through the middle a little bit. It angles it down. Well, in this Impala, we wanted to run all aluminum 409, which is 509 cubic inches. It's a big, tall, beefy engine. We're running a 6.2 setup on it, which is all throttle bodies. It's not carbureted. So by the time we got all of that packaged in, there was not room to wedge cut this car. The owner, Dan, wanted it wedge cut. And so I was just like, dude, I'm not putting a cow hood on this car. It will ruin it.
No Hilburn injection out the hood or anything like that.
Right. So I don't know. I woke up in the middle of the night and I'm like, dude, what if we add to the back and don't take nothing out of the front? It'll give it that wedge cut look. There you go. So you, instead of taking out of the front and nothing at the back, you add metal in the back and take nothing out of the front. Reverse wedge cut.
But then where do you determine where the heightening begins? Like where do you determine where you start adding, and how do you blend that?
At the very back.
Okay.
And
I think he's asking how far does that pie section go to the front?
Yeah. That's what I meant. Like, does it go to the,
all right, so what we did is we pivoted the wedge cut on the A-pillars. So the front actually did go down a little bit, but we didn't cut nothing.
Okay.
We didn't have to change anything there. We just had to change the angle of the rocker where it met the fender. Okay. Because that's what changed. And the fender bottom a little bit. Now, each car is different. A Tri-5 Chevy, you have no body lines. So you can wedge cut that thing anywhere in between, the bottom of the door glass to the rocker. Now, a 61 Impala, you've got pretty crazy body lines running the whole length of the car. So you can't disrupt that. And plus, one of the things that I really wanted to do was get those body lines. I wanted the upper body line running downhill, and I wanted the lower body line running almost parallel with the ground. All right. Because those cars, when you look at them in their original form, they look, especially when they're sitting level, it looks like a tree has fallen on the back of them, you know, or like a kid with a dirty diaper, you know, they don't look right. So we actually did the wedge cut below the lower body line and raised all of that up and changed the angle of those two body lines.
On a scale of 1 to complicated AF, where does that just sounds like, I mean, I know you do this stuff all the time. So is that something with the experience that you guys have? Is that something where you just kind of go, okay, cool, and you just start cutting? Or
actually, that was probably one of the easier mods we did to the whole thing. Because we totally cut the car apart. We took it apart at every seam. You know, like everywhere where the factory put the car together at, we drilled all the spot welds off, pulled the quarter panel off as a whole, pulled the door skins off as a whole, you know, pulled the roof off as a whole. So it was just a skeleton of a car sitting there. So you just go in there and add structure where you need to add structure. Then you just cut the quarter panel where you want it to cut, add what you need to add in there.
So
and,
you raise it as a skeleton and then you hang the panels back and you go, okay, I need to stretch them this much kind of thing.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
That still sounds complicated AF to my brain.
So,
just because
now where you get really complicated on this particular one, and most of them, if you're doing a reverse wedge cut, is around the rear bumper, the tail lights, all of that stuff, because you want it to appear to be stock. So what we did back there was we added a little here and a little there and a little here and a little there and a little here. You know what I mean? So it all looks proportionally correct. If you would have just added all of it like underneath the tail light, between the tail light and the bumper, it would have looked too tall. It would have looked goofy. If you'd have just added it all to the bumper, you know, like to the body behind the bumper, and then, you know, made the bumper bigger, then it would have looked out of proportion. So there's a little under the tail light, there's a little in the bumper, there's a little below the bumper, you know.
So basically, if God had added a little bit here and there instead of adding this entire 5 head that I have, I would be much more proportional and better looking, is what you're saying. Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. It makes total sense when you explain it, but I've never heard that term before. It's cool thanks for the explanation on that, because a
lot of people just wedge cut.
My question is reverse wedge cut accepted nomenclature? So I feel like this needs to have a different term, because in my mind, reverse wedge cut, if you're just going to talk about a reverse wedge cut, rather than the cut being, you know, more at the front, less at the back, reverse would be more at the back, less at the front. That would be reversing the wedge cut. You're actually wedge cutting and adding. So I feel like reverse wedge cut isn't really the right nomenclature here. I feel like you need to come up with a name.
You call it whatever the hell you want to call it.
The Big Oak extension? You want to go with that? Go with the Big Oak extension?
That's what it's got to be like the Big Oak cut, or the Big Oak something. The Big Oak.
When you said reverse wedge cut, the first thing that I thought, though, because I thought the wedge cut would be like, if this is, and I'm going to do this on a podcast where no one can see it, but if the front of the car is here and the rear of the car is here, I figured a normal wedge cut would be you have a bigger gap at the back and it angles to the front of the car, and you jack the body up and then you fill that body panel in. And then a reverse to me would have been you had the wider raise at the front of the car, and the front of the car was raised up and the back of the car was narrower. than
Well,
factory.
a wedge cut is a wedge cut, no matter if
Where
you
you do
take off the front, take it out of the front, or take it out of the
Right.
back. Where a reverse wedge cut is where you cut it and raise it up and add in a pie section.
Okay.
No matter how you look at it.
Okay.
I mean,
Hey, you're the guy.
Oh, you're saying a wedge cut is you're removing metal, and a reverse wedge cut, you're adding metal. That's
Correct.
why it's reversed.
there you go.
Okay.
And that's what I keep
That makes-
sitting here thinking
that makes
is
more
your
sense.
is your poor welder. Hey, I want a 1/2-inch strip of metal added here. I want 3/4 added here.
Well, what you do is you don't do it that way, or it'll look like teetotal dog shit. So you decide where you want that wedge cut at, and you build the car from that point down. So like on a door skin, you're not just going to add a 1/2 inch to an 1/8 inch. You're just going to build the door skin from there down.
So you're talking about fabricating entire new panels or sections of the
You have
panel.
one
Right.
seam to do
Right,
with.
which is what we did. So you just have one weld versus two right close to each other, which
Warps.
you can metal finish and do. It's just twice as hard.
It just makes the car heavier. You use a little bit more Bondo.
just lap weld them and
Bondo
plug weld it.
Yeah, Eastwood sells those little things that stair step it, and then you just lay it over. And
Yeah,
You just get some glass sheet, or you could. You could lead it. You could actually lead the seams. That'd be
Just throw the lead in
just
there.
lead the hell out of it. And that way you wouldn't have to worry about like any coilovers or anything to actually drop it. You just let the lead weigh the stock suspension down, and it just scrapes.
lead sled.
It's perfect.
That's right.
What's going on in the wonderful world of museums, Derek?
Well, it's not the best time for museums, so we don't really need to talk about that because I have a lot of colleagues that are not doing so hot at their, in the field because we're not looking good coming out of this pandemic. So, but at the Corvette Museum, things are going okay. I don't want to sound.
That's really where I was going.
I'm bragging or anything. I mean, we're doing well. We're holding our own, and we're going to have some pretty cool announcements coming up on donations over the next couple months that I can't talk about right now. So once they come out, we can talk about them on the podcast.
And before we started this, John brought up that other thing that I'm doing that's not no driving gloves, but we actually did last night. We went and explored this virtual reality tech, and it was a live concert inside VR. And the whole time I'm in there, and it's a concert in the round, but it's a reverse concert in the round. We'll go to the reverse wedge cut now goes to reverse concert in the round. You're on the stage basically. You're in the middle of the theater or whatever it is, and the band was all around you, and you could just turn around and you could see lead singer, guitarist, drummer, Marshall Stacks, and there was all this VR show and all these graphics added into it. Like it wasn't a laser show; it was just like an art show.
Hang on. Marshall Stacks. Which band is he in? Is he in the Marshall Tucker band? Or
definitely he was the leader.
Is he Marshall of Marshall?
Leader, Marshall Mathers, I think, is also he's the more modern version. But the only reason I'm bringing this up is that tech coupled with being able to take like a virtual tour of the Corvette Museum or any museum for that matter, or being able to actually, do a walk around in VR of a particular exhibit and have someone curate that experience. And that's something that maybe museums would want to look at if you're not already looking at it. I would imagine that there are some museums that are going there.
There may be some museums looking into that.
Right. That's kind of what I figured.
Yeah. I mean, if you haven't been on the website, there is a virtual tour of the cave that's under the museum.
Yeah, I was thinking there was one of the Japanese museums where that was that way too, is that you can do the entire. entire museum through your VR headset.
This was actually a Japanese concert, but shocking. Japan is so far ahead of us when it comes to that VR, XR, AR tech stuff. Cool stuff there, man. It's to see what's going to happen with.
I'm still into the RR.
The RR, the real reality. You want the real reality? I mean, so am I, but it is. There's something to be said for being able to. I sat in my house in Birmingham and took a trip to Japan yesterday for an hour and watched a live concert with a bunch of other folks. And it was good. It was cool. It was interactive. It was like I was having conversations with people. You could walk into, like, if you had it set up in the museum or Big Oak or, wherever you want to set these experiences up at, you can walk in and actually, have these conversations and interact with people that are, I don't want to say that people are standing in front of you, but it feels like it. After you're in there for 10 or 15 minutes, you forget.
So was this behind a paywall? Did you have to pay?
No, it was called VR Chat as the program, and it's in this thing called VCAT 5. And this is something that I think the automotive world is actually going to jump onto as well. VCAT 5 is a virtual market. It's the 5th one that they've had. They set it up for about 3 weeks every year. And it's basically just, they created 41 different worlds to allow vendors to come in and sell avatars and different world elements and all kinds of different stuff. And there's over 1 million people that visit this thing every year now. And they've expanded it to like Comic-Con events. And I would be shocked if someone at SEMA is not already looking into this as far as being able to do a digital events, alongside the real world stuff as we open back up. CES has to jump on this.
Say all I see, and this is to me the driverless car Tesla thing, and what 2020 has done is, yes, it's accelerated a lot of, I think, this VR and let's see what all we can do from home. And I just always go back to the movie Idiocracy. And that's what I'm saying is I don't have to go anywhere. I'm just going to be a fat, blubbering buffoon sitting in my lazy boy with a refrigerator in the armrest.
It's more,
and my shipped guy is going to bring groceries directly to me and sit it in front of me, or my Uber Eats guy. I'll never have to do anything again. And I find that very, I know that's where technology is going. I just find it scary and unfortunate to the youth of this age, and especially then their kids, 2 generations from now. I'll be honest, 2022 is going to be a whole different world than 2019 was. But 2052, 2072, when I'd be 101, there's going to be no comparison. I mean, you can still compare the year 2000 to the year 1900. You can still compare it and see some similarities. Yeah, there's a lot of tech changes, but the fact that we're never going to have to do anything. I say it's the movie Idiocracy. It's a song in the year 2525.
I don't know about never have to do anything.
But John, it has electrolytes.
Yes.
It has what plants crave. I don't know about the not have to do anything thing. I think commerce, as we know it, is going to profoundly change over the next 5 years, 10 years.
But I think John's right. Commerce, yes, but you yourself just even said that experience is going to change.
Experience is definitely going to change.
You went to a concert.
It's going to.
I mean, what is life? What is life without commerce or experience? What are you going to do?
I'm going to go get in my car and go for a drive.
Did it? Home would be a fat, blubbering blub, like John said.
Yeah, because you just said it. You're in Birmingham and you went to Japan. So why the heck do I need to ever go to Japan? I want to tour the Kremlin. I'll just go do it VR. And
there's going to be a point where we're not going to be able to distinguish.
Sean, you just said, I'm going to go out and get in my car and drive. Yet your company itself is pioneering driving simulators and virtual driving on racetracks. So why do you need to go out and drive a car if you can get into your simulator and race the Nürburgring from Birmingham?
Oh, I got it. He's going to drive his car and meet the Uber Eats guy at McDonald's, and then drive it back to his house, and then it'll be sitting in front of him.
No, I'll just let my Tesla drive itself to McDonald's while I sit here.
No, I see
Exactly.
I see it more as you order your carry out from Taco Bell or you order your Uber Eats. Then you get into your simulator and you pretend to drive to Taco Bell, and then you drive home. And about that time, the Uber guy shows up at the door with your Taco Bell.
No. You sit your simulator chair by your window and you drive up in the simulator to the drive up window, and your delivery guy is waiting on the other side of the window.
That's
and
it.
Open it up, and it's like you're at the
I
drive-thru.
actually kind of want to film that video. I think that's hilarious.
Or you get in your simulator and you drive to Taco Bell, and not that Taco Bell's sponsoring or anything, but you drive to Taco Bell.
All restaurants in the future.
And you order at the drive-through window in VR, and then you drive home because your Uber Eats guy is at Taco Bell in reality picking up your food to meet you. But you actually drove to the restaurant.
Dude,
we're going like 12 layers into Inception now. It's terrifying. But it's coming. It's
Do you Sean, do you prefer the red pill or the blue pill?
Yeah, and I mean there's no stopping it, but I'll be honest, I'm going to be I just turned 49. I'm glad I'm going to be dead in 30 or 40 years.
I'm not at all. I think it's exciting. And it's exciting where it can go. And to answer your question, Derek, always the red pill. Always take the red pill.
Yes, you guys need to decide red pill.
Always
or
take the
blue
red pill. Always. It's
always the yellow wire.
Either that or you take them both at the same time, and basically you've taken the purple pill, which is Prilosec, and you're going to need a lot of it. Oh my God. Did we really just go? We went down that road.
We just I don't know how that related back to automobiles.
It really wasn't a road, Sean.
It's virtual. It's a virtual road.
Virtual road.
It's not a road.
It's Tron.
It is not. If it's virtual, it's not.
It's
Will, you need to open up your mind to the virtual world. Okay,
oh my God.
It's where life is going. And plus, it does play into car talk here, John, because this is where things are heading.
Nowhere.
Self-driving cars, less and less work for humans to do. And it's like you said, all of this technology, this is where things are heading. The automotive world is headed that way. Because self-driving cars, all of it that's coming is all based in all the work that's being done in virtual reality and augmented reality, and all the different things that are going on play into self-driving automobiles, pods.
It's supposed to free up more time for us to do things that we truly want to do, but will it? I don't know.
You know what?
I want to drive.
It brings up a whole new meaning to, that guy at work that, works harder to get out of work than just to do his job. This is where this is going.
John Vianney.
As a whole, the United States have worked harder to try to get out of work. So now everything's virtual reality, self-driving cars. I mean, come on.
Yeah, but think how easy it's going to be to build your hot rods. All you got to do is go in and
I'll just
push some buttons.
I'll just think about it.
Exactly.
Well, you could think about it, and then those thoughts would become CAD files, and then those CAD files would transfer to the printer out in your shop, and it would just print the panels for you.
What? You don't even have to do that. You just build it on a damn computer and look at it.
I can do that for
you.
you.
Yeah, because everybody's going to SEMA in a digital world. Why do you need a real car?
I can totally.
No.
That's when I become a hot rod builder. I can do the 3ds Max work. That's not a problem.
What you said, Sean, makes no sense. We're doing all of this to free up more time so that we can do other things. How much I just got done saying I've worked 60 days straight. You were saying before, we got on the podcast that you might not make this show because you're buried in work. Will's buried in work with, he's lucky right now. He's got like a week off, but he was buried all last fall. Derek, I don't know. He works for a nonprofit. He gets to goof off. But
yeah, that's right. I don't have like 30 exhibits to do this
before
year.
we made these computers, and before, ENAC and all of that, we had free time. Henry Ford even designed his portion of the Industrial Revolution. That's why the 40-hour work week came into being. You got paid. You had Sunday to go to church, but Saturday you could go out and spend that money he paid you. And if it wasn't for, the Rainforest Company, I'd never buy anything because I don't have time to go to a store.
It's the times we live in, man. But I mean, if we want to spin this back around to something vehicular in nature, there's some cool cars out there coming that it came out last year and are coming out next year. I mean,
you like that BMW?
Yeah,
I mean, if that's what you want, then you go get you that BMW. I fully support you driving what makes you happy, and if that makes
I would never go buy one because I'm not going to spend that much money on a small car with not a lot of power. But
I'm trying to think. It reminds me of
Bugs Bunny.
It reminds me of the snout on an animal, and I can't place what animal. Lean again, John. I need to figure this out.
It still reminds me of an Alfa Romeo.
It reminds me of an animal, and I don't know what. It's just like a giant snout. Just
that would be perfect if you started it up and it went.
There you go. That's my French bulldog's over here snoring.
Well, the electric version will have to make noises. So
just record that real quick.
The BMW, instead of having pops and bangs coming out of the exhaust, the overrun should come out of the grill in the form of a. That'd be perfect.
Oh man, that just made me think. Did you guys see that company? Oh, dang it. Now I'm not going to remember what it is. There's a company making a digital exhaust now that goes in the back of your car, and you've got an app on your phone and you can change the sound of the car, and it all communicates with the ECU, the computer within the car. And so as it's reading what the revs and things are, it will actually change the sound.
Now we have virtual exhaust. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
People.
Well, Ford offers a $4,000 exhaust on the Mustang that is, has 4 or 5 different loudness settings. This sounds like something very similar, where it's probably, I assume, the muffler or resonator and that has some baffles that are computer controlled and
right. But this is like a whole step beyond that, where like it's mostly for electric cars, where you mount this thing. Yeah, you mount it in the back of your car up underneath. It actually has what looks like a tailpipe and plays sounds. God, I wish I could find it.
We call this Ghost Cam.
That was actually one of Lotus Engineering's big projects over the last 10 years, is working on sound effects for electric cars. If anybody understands Lotus Engineering, they do a lot of engineering for a lot of other companies. That's what keeps Lotus funded, or has always kept Lotus funded until, the recent buyouts and becoming a Chinese car company. But the engineering arm always paid for the car company to exist. And they were working on that with variable sounds and different, tunable things. And a lot of cars now have, through their sound system, that changes the exhaust note, because the cars are so soundproof, you don't hear your exhaust, and the car pipes in the exhaust note to you through the audio system. It's, again, I mean,
I think Ford has been doing that for a while.
Well, it does, because it's all through the audio system. Just change your graphic EQ, get that
that and the induction noise tube piped in under the dashboard from a bunch of different cars.
Yeah.
That drives me crazy. The best digital sound that I've heard, the best, I guess, derived sound for an EV that I've heard so far is the Taycan. I love the Jetsons. I actually have a Jetsons noise for the Taycan.
There you go. The best sound that you've heard in an EV is something that was created in the 60s. The good old days. It wasn't created by a new engineer.
But it was the 60s idea of 2020.
Of a future car, yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah, and if I could get up and go to the Foodoraka cycle and get a pizza in a pill form, and
could we get one that, in our electric car, that as we push down, it just goes wah, wah,
sure.
wah, wah, wah,
you could do whatever you want.
wah.
It needs to go wah 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 wah.
It should do that when you cut it off.
That's what it needs to do.
When you
Actually, what would be great? No, I want one that as you're driving around. Yeah, I want one that as you're driving around, it's just going bang 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 bang.
Constant rod knock.
You just got a rod knocking.
All of these are really good ideas, actually. I think that's something that Tesla would do. Tesla does some bonkers crap, man. Tesla would absolutely do.
I think we need to bring out the no driving gloves electronic exhaust for electric cars, and it needs to be rod knocking, muffler has fallen off, just anything we can come up with, just anything.
Well, I thought Tesla. I saw this on Millennials and Cars or whatever, one of these Facebook groups that's run by a friend of mine, and I think we all know who runs it. And somebody was asking him, because he's got a Tesla Model 3, that they had heard a rumor that Elon had introduced a sound that the car can produce that I guess flatulence. So that now you can have your Tesla fart
just
as you're
pull up
going
in a crowd
the
of people.
So yeah.
I swear it was the car, man. I swear it was the car. It wasn't.
If it'll launch a stink bomb every time.
The dude, have you seen the guy that builds
That's funny right there.
It's the thief, he puts the package on the doorstep, and it's got the glitter bomb.
Oh, the glitter bomb.
It's got the fart spray in it, and the fart spray.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, man. We need that on a Tesla.
You know what? I want one mounted under a Tesla, if I get it, that makes the sound of a steam car and has a fog machine. So it's just psh, there's just steam
dry ice dripping water on it underneath it.
Yes.
All of this is doable. All of this is doable.
I know.
Honestly, though, the sound symposer for EVs with the rod knock and the muffler dragging and a cracked muffler, a cracked exhaust manifold, just it's a V8 with 2 cylinders down, is the hard miss, and just all.
Oh, you gotta have as you're braking, you gotta have your brake pad is just worn
to the
down
rotor.
to the,
it's metal on metal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. A Honda with a fart pipe.
Years ago, I had this 85 Escort wagon, and I was driving home one evening, and I turned left for people who know where I'm from, off Pioneer Parkway onto University Boulevard, and the exhaust fell off. Catalytic converter back on the road. I stopped, picked it up, put it on the luggage rack, tied it down. So then I'm driving home, and you know what an Escort sounds like without an exhaust. We've all heard that. It happens all the time. And a cop actually pulled me over and said, seems like you have an exhaust issue. Yeah. Do you have an exhaust on this car? I said, yeah, it's on the roof. But I'm all of a sudden thinking, now we can reproduce that sound of not having an exhaust. Are they going to have to make that illegal? Would that be illegal?
Interesting.
It's all about how loud it
level.
Is.
I guess that goes back to the audio system, and because of our generation with the we can't hear your car stereo
Right.
50 feet away.
You know,
I
if I
guess.
had one though, I'd want mine to sound like a two-stroke.
I was just saying, you need one with a dirt bike.
And you know where this all leads to in about 30 years? People wanting
Nah.
silent
Yep.
cars.
It
You're right.
leads to the simulator thing that Derek was talking about, where the
Man,
Uber Eats driver
think
pulls
about-
up to my
look at-
window, and I pull my VR visor up and I take my food from him.
Can we get it where it sounds like a chainsaw cutting through a log? Just
We can do it. We can do anything.
Oh, yeah.
Like an old Jackal
Think about
song.
what the silent cars are going to do for the
I mean-
drive-by shootings, though.
Then silencers will be mandated. So you'll have silent cars, and all drive-by shootings will have to be committed with
And
silent
silent guns.
weapons.
So nobody'll even know what shot them.
I disagree because they're still going to have car stereos. They're still going to have 18-inch subs in the back. So, you don't hear the 6.4 roll up on you and blow out the windows of the house.
6 to 18,
You hear
18
the thump and
subs
bass and then
and,
the guns.
and 23 other speakers and 2,500 watts, but everything is played at ASMR volume.
It's not going to be.
No, the
virtual,
problem
though.
here is that they're going to get a sound machine for their gun. They're going to roll the 9mm, pull the trigger. It's going to sound like an AK.
But it's all going to be virtual. Remember, you're just going to drive by and shoot somebody virtually in your virtual car with your virtual gun, all while sitting.
And they're virtually going to die.
Right, all while sitting at home, becoming a fat, blubbery blob.
That's more Wall-E than it is Idiocracy. Have y'all seen Wall-E, where they're in the spaceship and they're all like floating around on the barges?
We've seen that, but I'm thinking the guy in Idiocracy where they ended up breaking in through his back window or something, and he's sitting in his chair with his 100-inch TV in front of him.
Go away.
Has his whatever, I can't remember. I want to say Slurm, but I can't remember the beverage of choice.
Got electrolytes.
It's Brondo. Yeah, it's totally LA. It's got what plants crave.
I'm thinking the
I
same
might have
thing.
to watch that
Like,
tonight
I
or
need
tomorrow.
Need to watch that movie again, although to me it's a horror movie because it's like you said, John, it's all too quickly becoming reality.
It's not a horror movie. It's a documentary. It's totally a
It's a documentary from the future.
That's what, yeah. It was written as a comedy, but very quickly became a documentary.
But no, it actually wasn't written as comedy because time travel is real and it is a documentary.
right. It's I like the mobile Hardee's or the like this Hardee's stand where the lady walks up to it and she's like, she puts her money in. It's like, take your extra big ass fries, and then it ends up taking her kids away from her because she beat on the thing, and then they knockout gases her, and then your kids have been put into custody of Carl's Jr.
If you haven't seen the movie, you should watch it.
Wonderful in so many ways. Watch the movie, yes. And we're not being sponsored by that either.
We have no sponsors.
I just keep sitting here thinking that you should be. Too bad I can't put a music track into a podcast because the old song "Reality Used to Be a Friend of Mine." And it's just that always plays in my head.
I believe you could actually put music into the podcast, John.
Actually, it's
you could, but then it would get pulled down.
You can do it.
No, you just have to use old enough music that there's no issue. So, I mean, if we could pull some
I don't think Reality
Vaudeville.
Used to Be a Friend of Mine from 1926.
I'm not saying that specific. I'm just saying you could use music. It would just have to be from 1727.
No, actually I'll know next week because the feed, one of the podcasts I listen to about podcasting, they always update you in their first episode in January how new a music you can use, and we're like at 24 or 25. But we all know it's all going to end at 28. You're never going to be able to use any audio after 1928 because that's when Disney came around.
Oh, okay.
Hey, there's some good music pre-1928.
It's perfect. Is it?
I think we're going to end it right there.
Are we going to end it there? Or are we going to go get? Are we going to go get? Are we going to go get a Zamboni?
Yeah. We weren't ending yet. There wasn't a Zamboni discussion.
Well, I know where this virtual Zamboni discussion is going to go, and I really don't want to talk about Zamboni from hell or whatever that game
You know,
is.
maybe 2021, we don't need to talk about Zambonis. It just ends here.
Why don't you virtually leave the Zamboni
We're gonna
out?
virtually leave the Zamboni parked at the 2020 virtual ice arena, and we're gonna move on.
Amen, brother.
Well,
Wow. On that
I'm
note,
kind of sad.
good to see y'all.
The 2020 killed the Zamboni.
It was inevitable. It had
I'm
to.
sorry, guys. On that depressing note that we no longer have Zambonis, I'm out of here.
With that, gentlemen, I will leave you with Zeppelin.
A Zeppelin doesn't work.
Why can't it
doesn't
just be a
have more
Boney?
than one tire. It's not really like a car.
Some of them do.
Actually, I don't know if
Some of them have a
Zeppelins
couple
do. I know blimps do, but Zeppelins always didn't they always dock on the mooring masts?
That's true.
Which actually, there's still a mooring mast in downtown Birmingham. In case you do want to swing by Birmingham in your Zeppelin, but
I might get a Zeppelin. It might be easier to get to downtown.
They're making
Are
a
they?
comeback. I'm just
Go ahead.
making a comeback. The Goodyear blimp is no longer a blimp. The new fleet is
Really?
Zeppelins. They're Goodyear Zeppelins.
you see, they're quiet and they can take advantage of all this noise technology. we
They're
just
actually
They're
talked
also faster.
They're actually
I'm
just
done,
virtual.
guys. I'm hitting stop.
Now I'm picturing a
Thank you for listening, and remember to look us up at nodrivinggloves.com. There you can find back episodes, links to products we recommend, and links to all of our social media. Be sure to tell a friend about us. No Driving Gloves is edited and produced by J. Lewis Productions.